Dylan Mulvaney, the second most prominent trans-identifying person in the country. First, I think you got to give to Bruce Jenner. Second, Dylan Mulvaney. He was an actor, a kind of minor actor, Broadway actor, who decided he was going to be a woman one day, and then he made a big nuisance of himself, and a lot of women were offended by it, and he rolled on that outrage for a little while. He actually put Yours Truly in his Rockefeller Center musical. I made my Rockefeller Center debut because of Dylan Mulvaney, but he's got a new book out. People haven't been paying attention to him lately. The bizarre act that he was putting on had kind of lost some of its charm, and so he's fallen into obscurity. So now he's got a new book, Paper Doll: Notes from a Late Bloomer by Dylan Mulvaney. And I've got the papers here. So you can get the first 5 pages. It's not out yet. Coming out soon enough. Cover is pretty gross, so I'm going to skip over that. What's the book? It's just his Days of Being a Girl. He had this series on TikTok, Day 1 of Being a Girl, Day 5 of Being a Girl, and he would engage in frequently offensive caricatures of what a man would think a woman is and does, and it was gross and weird and offensive, but you know, obviously the guy's got problems. And he's talking about how when he was 4 years old, he told his mother that he was a girl. And I don't know, I'm a little skeptical about that, but okay. Then you skip to the next page. Day 3 of Being a Girl. Some women hate him. He talks about the TERFs, all these women who he accuses, these are feminists, he says, who hate all trans people just because they want to have their own bathrooms. They don't want to be put at risk by men in women's spaces. They don't want men to crack women's skulls in sports. They don't want men, women in women's prisons. That, according to Dylan Mulvaney, is examples of women hating all trans people. But then you keep scrolling, talk about it being on the red carpet, and he talks about how his father, and he describes how his parents were divorced. Here, this is the last page that you can access. When my parents divorced when I was 9, I emotionally sided with Dana. I saw mom as the gatekeeper, and my dad is the one I asked for permission from only when mom said no, and blah, blah, blah. He goes on about this divorce. I actually feel for the guy. Right now, go to stopboxusa.com, use promo code Knowles. For every gun owner that has kids, one of the biggest thoughts that pops into your head is, how do I make sure that my child cannot, under any circumstances, access my firearm? Especially, that's certainly true for me. And I'm not even one of these guys with 1,000 guns in the home, you know? I keep it pretty simple. But I've got a great solution, and that is Stopbox USA. What impresses me so much is that it is completely mechanical. No batteries to die that could leave you high and dry. No electronics to fail when you need it most. I was blown away by how durable and well-crafted this is, all made right here in America. It means that Stopbox is creating meaningful jobs and opportunities for American workers too. Traveling, no problem. It's TSA compliant, so you can securely transport your firearm when you're flying. It turns out TSA is not a fan of people throwing loose firearms into their baggage. Been on some trips. I haven't gotten caught with this myself, but some guys, it's not great. So if the convenience of not fumbling with keys while maintaining security gives you peace of mind, as it would give me peace of mind, then go check it out right now. For a limited time only, my listeners are getting a great deal. Not only do you get 10% off your entire order when you use code Knowles, KNWLES, at StopboxUSA.com. They're also giving you buy one, get one free for their Stopbox Pro. That is 10% off and a free Stopbox Pro when you use code Knowles at StopboxUSA.com. I got to get on that deal right now because I only have one Stopbox and I got to stock up. Discover a better way to balance security and readiness with Stopbox. Because if you asked 100 people, I said, hey, do you think Dylan Mulvaney grew up in like a stable married household, or do you think maybe his parents were divorced or had 100 out of 100 people would say probably his parents are divorced or there's some problem there. And of course that is the case. So I feel for the guy. I think that's the case for a lot of people who are about their identity, and I think that's actually borne out pretty well in the literature. But that doesn't excuse this, okay? He's a grown man, and I'm sorry that he had problems as a kid, and I'm sorry that some of the consequences of those problems were predictable, but he's a grown man, and he has no right to go into women's spaces, and he has no right to to be a woman, and he just needs to grow up a little bit, okay? And he needs to get right with reality. Most people agree with that now. This book, I think, is evidence of it, and the fact that very few people are talking about it is evidence of it. I think this act is getting stale. I think that this guy is an actor who's in need of a new act, of a new character, because this one's getting stale. I'm so sick of talking about transgenderism, and I don't think I really have to anymore. You know, when I at CPAC a couple years ago called for the of transgenderism in public life entirely for the good of including for the good of the people who fall and prey to that. I think we basically got that. President Trump is doing that now. That is happening right now. I think trans is kind of over. People rejected it pretty soundly at the ballot box. Dylan Mulvaney needs a new character. The proof of that is people aren't really tuning in anymore. I'm mentioning it because I played a little role in this, I guess, but I think this is done. That's just, the transgender error is just yet another error about human nature that the left has made. And I think that error has run its course. That was a good clip, huh? Come on. Was it, hey, just answer this question. Was that a good clip or not? Okay. So if it was, then you should subscribe to the YouTube channel, and then you'll get more good clips. That's just common sense.